Chinese firm Startimes is suing Ghana's Ministry of Communication for what it describes as unlawful termination of contract. The government entered into an agreement with the company to supply and install digital terrestrial television network for Ghana. But as the deadline drew closer, government says Startimes failed to provide financing agreement and the funding required for the implementation of the project, for which the reason the contract with them was terminated. But now Startimes is furious and is seeking redress at the cause by placing an injunction on the termination. Industry sources, however, say the deal was fraught with so many loopholes anyway, and this is likely to drag. So the key question tonight, is there the real threat that Ghana's TV signal could be shut down as the international deadline for digital migration approaches? Well, there is that possibility. This is today's big story with me, Stephen Enti. Now, the International Telecommunications Union, ITU, has set a June 2015 deadline for all countries to migrate from the analog to digital television broadcasting. This places huge pressure on Ghana's preparedness to go digital by the deadline. On top of that, the company which was contracted to provide a digital terrestrial platform to aid this migration is unhappy that the contract was terminated. Government says it has justifiable reasons to have terminated that contract and it is not interested in waging a media war. So away from the courts, what are the implications of this matter to the timelines of migration, seeing that we have just about 4 months to the ITU deadline? The head of engineering here at Multi TV, Edwin Annan, is joining us in the studio for analysis of this matter. It's great to have you here, sir. Edwin.
Thank you.
Evening, sir.
Good evening.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing well.
So, digital migration, good or bad? Let me start with that simple premise.
It's good because it opens other opportunities for everybody to benefit from the technology that drives, to me, development for every nation. Yeah.
So if we look at the fact that the ITU has given a deadline of June 2015 for Ghana to migrate, and now there is this court case staring at all of us, there are those who are thinking that if the court case proceeds, then it will be a drag on us meeting our timelines, and possibly one day we'll wake up and all our TV signals are shut down. Is that possibility real?
Yes, that is very real, and at the same time, it depends on the position that or the fallback plan that the government had. Because definitely, as they thought about this program, there should definitely be a backup plan. Should something go wrong, how will they mitigate that situation?
So the backup plan, let me just simply understand what Startimes, for example, was contracted to do for Ghana. I don't have the details of the contract, and I discussed this with you earlier, but we know from the write-up we have on this that they were supposed to provide a digital terrestrial network for Ghana. What is that?
They were supposed to provide a platform.
A platform?
A technology platform that content providers will put their content on. They will rebroadcast in a format called T2. That's the second generation of a kind of transmission that you maximize the use of the bandwidth you are using.
So let's get an understanding. Maximize the bandwidth. So if, for example, we have channel 1 on a digital television platform and we have another channel 1 on an analog platform, what difference comes in between these two?
Your normal analog channel is just receive only. However, with a digital terrestrial channel, your box can receive and can transmit.
I see.
So it has that dual.
What can it transmit?
It can transmit signal. So, for example, a station can decide to check what his viewers are watching. So the kind of set-top boxes that will be in the trade will have that capacity to transmit signal back to that station to know
some form of feedback.
Feedback, exactly. Right. To know what his viewers are watching. So in that case, you can test your content. You know where to put your money. Then you can approach advertisers with real data to tell them that, look, this story or this program that I have this viewership, so come and advertise on my network.
So this means that all our talk of digital migration depended on this single platform, or like you said, that we need to have an alternative. Do we have a backup plan?
Multi-TV is a digital platform. The medium is over satellite. That is one.
That is one
yes.
format.
That's one format. Terrestrial, that is over terrestrial link, is another format.
So that is the format which the Startimes
exactly.
were contracted to provide Ghana.
Exactly, but definitely there would have been the combination of the two. Because there are areas in this country that we know for a fact that there are no transmitters. Only the GBC transmitters are there. Therefore, getting to those areas, then you need to install a digital terrestrial platform. But technically, it was going, the normal analog was going to run concurrently with the digital terrestrial until the time that the government switches off. But looking at the time now, looking at 17th June,
yeah,
it is quite interesting. We don't know how.
We don't know whether we'll get there. Let me tease you a little bit. Let's talk about the dynamics involving the Startimes and what they got from government and the issues that have come around it. I mean, government terminated them because government's reason is that Startimes could not show them that they are able to raise the necessary funds from the Exim Bank that they promised to start the project. So they were terminated. So as they were terminated, are we still going to go digital?
The government is supposed to answer that question. However, from where we sit, and there are always ways of getting around something. Multi-TV is digital. Going over satellite is digital. To me, that would have been the easiest way that the government should have.
Oh, government could come and buy the multi-TV system and then
go over the same network. Go over satellite. Yes, go over satellite, where already you have a lot of people with multi-TV boxes in the trade. So there's no need starting everything afresh. You know, that would have been the easiest way that the government would have gone. Then probably it could have taken time and build a network, go through the right process, and build a network that it wanted to build for the country.
Well, I must tell our audience that we have been trying to raise Haruna Idrisu on the telephone. Deputy Communications Minister Atusapon also declined to speak to this matter, as he says the matter is in court and the government is not interested in waging a media war. GIBA, Ghana Independent Broadcasters Association, we spoke to Charles Van Dyke, who also, as usual, does not want to get involved in this discussion as it is. It's a very sensitive matter, a matter in court, and then the Chinese company is peeved. But I want to ask you, GIBA, for example, could have the technology to do this. Why did it go to China to start with?
We don't know how the Startimes people came on, because definitely the government has been talking to GIBA, and there were people who came in, you know, to bid to do that. And for some reason, we all don't know, Startimes won, but we've seen the result. So yes, there are institutions in this country that have their capacity. You know, probably they don't have the funding, but they have that capacity to get the government to support them to do it. Those that have started and they're already doing it, I mean, it's better to build your own network than to just give your network to someone to build it.
So I can see that you support the cancellation of the contract anyway, but you wouldn't like to go on record saying that, or what?
No, I want the right thing to be done.
The right thing?
Yes.
And what is the right thing?
I mean, going through the process, seeking out the necessary approvals from cabinet, from everywhere, all the institutions that have to come to play to get this thing done. You know, if we don't look at it as a national asset, that should go a step to even change our educational institute, change businesses and all that. And we see it as just a platform that people should come and run.
We will be making
a very big mistake, because
we'll be pushing out the future of the technology into the hands of foreign investors.
And they will come back after I don't know how many years that we need to upgrade our systems. Can you imagine going through this medium and barely 3-4 years down the line, technology evolves, something comes up, and probably we cannot upgrade by firmware or something, a whole transmitter or a whole something has to be changed. Then there will be another issue. Where do we get the money to do that? So I think that first we should look in-house to see if we have that capacity.
Locally. And you
believe
that we have the capacity?
I believe that we do have.
We have the skill.
We do. We do have the skill. Yes, we definitely acquire the technology outside. But I believe we have capable people doing. Multi-TV is doing it. We don't have any experts in our midst, but we do it. So I believe that yes,
we're very capable. Let's compare what is happening now to what happened earlier in Kenya. Does it look like we are on the same wavelength? We're gradually getting to that point where we'll wake up one morning, turn on the TV, and there's no signal?
GIBA has the capacity to always put the government in check to make sure that this doesn't happen. But if we do not take care, yes, we can run into that. However, there are alternatives that if I believe that the right processes are taken, we wouldn't get into that.
And you have already outlined the right processes that we find the alternative. For example, if we go by T2, you said, and the T2, what advantage would the T2 give over the terrestrial?
The T2 is terrestrial.
The T2 is terrestrial.
Over satellite, the only thing is that you don't need a satellite dish.
Okay.
But you definitely need a box or a digital TV that is T2 compliant. Because you could have a digital TV, but it is only T, not T2. That means you need a box, definitely, to receive the channels. However, if you go on satellite, the government has guaranteed everybody in this country, in every corner, that he has the satellite, he has the digital channel over satellite. Then that person has to acquire a digital box and a satellite dish. Then he will just be in business. Moreover, with the satellite, the advantage is that your point of failure is minimum. You know, you have one site transmitting to the entire nation, so you can easily put up a backup. Whereas if you have the digital terrestrial, it means every transmitter station you need to have a kind of backup when it comes to generator, you know, all those kind of stuff, so that you can make sure that you don't ever go down.
Right. I must let our viewers know that the industry watchers say there are a lot of loopholes in this agreement that was signed with Startimes to provide this digital terrestrial platform, which is now in dispute and is in court. We've spoken to all the people who need to speak to this matter, but they are declining to comment further because it looks like it's a sensitive matter for discussion. But we are joined in the studio by our head of engineering here at Multi TV, Edwin Annan, who is providing very solid education for you to understand what requirements are necessary for us to go digital when the time is due. In June 2015, we're told that that's the IT international deadline for digital migration. If any country doesn't meet that deadline, I'm very certain that television signals will be shut down totally, but there is hope for you, or as you hear Edwin saying that there is an alternative backup plan that government can use to ensure that we can all still receive our TV signals. So, Edwin, let's talk about the backup plan. If you were, I know that you're not a minister, but you are technically inclined enough. If you were taking a decision for government, what will be your backup plan?
I would have gone satellite.
Strictly satellite?
I would have gone
satellite. Or
satellite.
you will run satellite along with the T2
yes,
system?
I will, even if it goes the digital, terrestrial, the government cannot do that alone without going satellite. Because there are areas that you need to contribute content. The other transmitter stations that you can do via satellite. So you use one, one stone to kill two birds. You know, so I will go satellite now. Then as and when I have that capacity, then I will roll in the terrestrial.
The terrestrial.
That case, I can meet the deadline and I can easily roll out effective or the requisite technology that can drive.
And your citizens will still enjoy their TV signal without any trouble. Let's look at the option that GTV has and what Multi TV has. Let's talk about it. If nationally we are all supposed to perhaps put ourselves on the Multi TV box platform or GTV platform, how will that work for other broadcasters, broadcasting companies, other media houses, which have not got the technology to go digital yet?
No, you know, I'll pick the satellite first. Going by satellite, you don't need to have that technology. You already have your content. A TV station is transmitting anyway, is broadcasting anyway. So it's a matter of just concluding that deal with the uplink provider. The uplink provider is the satellite provider, the one that picks your signal and put it on satellite so that the various boxes can receive it, just as the Multi TV does. The GTV one is the digital terrestrial, but it is T. It is not yet the T2.
So it's not advanced.
It is not the advanced type of T. It can run anyway, but it doesn't have it cannot accommodate more channels like the T2 could do. So in that case, there will be areas that you might not have the T2, or you might not have the digital terrestrial, and in that case, you wouldn't receive the GTV channel. However, if even you don't have any digital anything, and you have a dish and a box, you can receive the multi-TV, even when you're on a canoe on the sea somewhere.
You can receive it.
Yes, so long as you have a dish.
We've had our signals going as far as some remote areas.
Yes, it goes even right down up to Zambia.
So let's look at the other platforms, like, pardon me to mention names, like Crystal TV, Go TV, DSTV. How different are they from what we provide here at Multi TV and what GTV provides? And I mean, the question I want to ask is that if we look at these existing providers, those who I believe are transmitting satellite, GTV, Go TV, DSTV, satellite, and then T from GTV, how do they all merge their operations if Startimes had gone ahead and completed its digital terrestrial platform T2?
They already have their licenses to operate as independent broadcasters. So if Multi TV wants to go onto, let's say, a Go TV platform, it's Multi TV's choice to do that. However, if Multi TV wants to be on the Go platform, as well as the Startimes platform, as well as Crystal platform, Multi TV can decide to do that. Nothing stops Multi TV from doing that.
So it's just choice of technology.
It's a choice of technology. And moreover, Go TV, Crystal, and the others that you've mentioned, all of them are T2. They already have that technology. They already have their cell site, their transmitter site, and all of that. They already have them.
Okay.
Yes, so they exist. However, the Startime one is the one that doesn't exist, and that is what the government was going to roll out.
Right. Yeah. So, Edwin, what's the way forward? I mean, with all this back and forth, I mean, you are an industry person. You're watching carefully what government is going to do with this case in court, which I hear is at the High Court, and yet also you are cautiously waiting for the deadline. So, if we get to June and court is still on, government has not made any concrete plans for an alternative, what happens?
Interestingly, the analog will still run. They can't turn it off. And therefore, what I would suggest, if I'm in the position to do that, and the government wants to meet the deadline, is to go satellite. That is very easy because the network exists. It's not Multi TV that is going to carry the government. No, it's the network, it's the satellite provider, which has nothing to do with Multi TV. They will provide that network to the government for the government to do that. That way, he's everywhere in the country, and Ghana is digital.
So give me a prediction. You do not think this court case is a big deal?
I don't think this court case, I mean, if the right thing wasn't done, I don't want to comment more, but if the right thing wasn't done, I believe that the right thing
wouldn't have had the court case in the first place.
Exactly.
The right things were done.
Yeah.
But now that we have the court case on our hand, you are not afraid that it will affect our timelines for digital migration, that we possibly might not meet the deadline for 2015?
I know for a fact that with or without the court case, if the government really wants to meet the deadline, it's possible.
It's possible, right. So you've heard Edwin say, head of engineering Multi TV here, that if government really wants to meet the deadline for digital migration, it is possible. We are discussing the case in which Startimes, a Chinese company, is suing government over termination of contract. Government is unhappy with inability of the Chinese company to show evidence that it has the necessary funds to go ahead with supplying the digital terrestrial platform which it was contracted to do. We'll take a break and we'll be right back. Do stay. Today's Big Story is brought to you by Lifeline Properties, quality, affordable and comfortable housing. Now, tonight, Joy News has intercepted a performance audit report on the extension of electricity to 1,200 communities in Ghana, which contain damning findings that the contract which was issued through sole sourcing was overcharged by up to about $120 million. And most of these excesses were used to purchase luxury vehicles and captured which were not captured in the project budget. According to the report, the decision to purchase these vehicles did not go through the stringent process that guarantees prudent spending, and that although Parliament gave approval for the arrangement through a resolution, the vehicles and office equipment were not in the proposal which was sent to Parliament for approval. Site works on the Turnkey electricity extension project, which is what it's called, began in 2010 and was envisaged to be completed and handed over in 2015. But 3 years into the implementation of the project, the VRA, ECG and the ministry's consultants are complaining about the slow pace of work by the contractor who is called Weldy Lamont Associates, which was sole source. So this has pushed the completion of the project to the second half of 2017, implying that we need additional 2 years to complete. We're not getting the Public Accounts Committee to speak to this because the report is yet to be laid before the committee, but we are going to be joined on the line very soon by Kweku Kwarteng, who is a member of the Parliamentary Committee on Finance. But let's get to the other telephone line and speak to Collins Abuaji Sapong, who is a procurement expert, to get a little education on what could have been done right in this case. Good evening, sir, and thanks for your time.
Thank you. The name is Collins Ajimai Sapong.
Collins Ajimai Sapong. We're grateful for the correction. Now, I need to get a fair understanding. There is this company, Well-Known Associates, involved in the transaction that I've just elaborated on. They were taxed to provide electricity extension to Ghana to about 1,200 communities. Now, as part of the expenses, it was found out that they overcharged by $120 million, and most of these excesses were used in purchasing luxury vehicles, which were not captured in the arrangement that was sent to Parliament for approval. I need to get a fair understanding of this whole sole sourcing thing. Do you feel that the sole sourcing was advantageous to the point that we were unable to do due diligence simply because it was sole sourcing?
Well, I just read the story on your website, and what I gather, I think there should be a line between the purchase of the car and the procurement of the power to this community. Because when you, per what I read, it means that the contract was for provision of power. So then somebody will ask, where from the office equipment and the vehicle?
That's right.
By reading further, they use the word turnkey. Does that mean the setup of the project office and everything is a part of this? And who were using this card? Were they for the power ministry or the energy ministry staff, or was this for the project staff? Then when all these things are cleared, then you know that, okay, this project was for power, but they needed to set up a project office where they needed these equipment and this vehicle. Okay, so that one wasn't clear. But Collins, on that.
Collins, no, there's more information about that. The information we have gathered, which we have intercepted the report here. I have with me right here. But the information is that these luxury vehicles were to assist the Minister of Energy and Petroleum visit the site, you know. So there was not only one, there were more. I mean, I have a list of the vehicles that were bought. I'll quickly run through them for the benefit of our audience so that we can get an informed discussion over this. They bought 20 Ford F-150 trucks. They bought Greedo Ford 510, 2 of them, and then Dodge Dakota SLT, 6 of them, and then Ford Escape, 3 of them, Lexus LX 570, 4 of them, and then Chrysler 300, 3 of them. These are very powerful American machines. But the point is that the reason the ministry is giving is that these vehicles were to allow visitation to the various project sites. All I'm asking is that if this contract was not given by sole sourcing and any other option was given, could we possibly have given due diligence, more due diligence to this, and perhaps saved ourselves the excess 120 million?
Okay, now let me let us dwell on the sole sourcing aspect that you have mentioned. As a procurement person, I think those are the things that we speak to. First of all, I would say that for sole sourcing...
Collins, I'm afraid. Collins, I'm very afraid. We have to hold you because we are getting on the line. A member of the Parliamentary Committee on Finance, and it's critical.
Okay.
We speak to him. We have just about 2 minutes to wrap, and it will be good if we got him on the line. So, good evening, Mr. Kwating. Thanks for your time. I know we have 2 minutes to go, but this has come to your attention, has it?
It has. And what I can say briefly is that this is nothing but looting of public finances. Don't let us forget that the documentation for this project went to Parliament, and the items, the luxury cars, the luxuries, the Chrysler, and all the things that have been bought were not listed in the bill of quantities. So it's a breach of parliamentary approval to begin with.
So did you see the bill of quantities when it came to Parliament?
I have seen copies of the bill of quantities. I wasn't in Parliament at the time. I have seen copies of the bill of quantities, and it did not contain any of these items. The Auditor General has made that observation. The question is, the minister that the report says was supposed to use one of the luxury cars for the purposes of visiting the project sites has 3 4-wheel drives for his use in the ministry. He couldn't have used any of these, so that a new luxury car had to be bought for the minister for the purposes of monitoring. Look, the copy has come to Parliament now, but the copy has also gone to the presidency. We ought to be asking the presidency, is he going to look on this, or he's going to punish people and send a signal across that the state in which we find the country's finances right now cannot accommodate this kind of looting? If the president doesn't act, and whilst we are having difficulty buying crude oil to power generators so that ordinary people can have electricity to run their businesses, if people will still take money like this and the president will not act, then it demonstrates the debt which we have sunk. This is very embarrassing, but it's not just embarrassing. It is unfortunate that people in government should be so insensitive to the state in which we find the country's finances.
So what, Kwating, you are suggesting that the president should take action over this and sanction everybody who has been implicated in this excessive spending?
Absolutely, absolutely. But in addition, given that the minister has made expenditures outside approval given by Parliament, I think Parliament should also invite the minister to explain why he has so misconducted the country's finances. But more importantly, as I indicated, the president must signal that this kind of looting will not be accepted in Ghana today at the time we cannot buy crude oil to provide power for our people.
Right. Mr. Kwating, we'll leave it there. I'm grateful for your time. We were unable to get the Public Accounts Committee to speak to this matter. We tried extensively to speak to the relevant authorities about this, but as usual, nobody's commenting. We will be still following this up and bringing you more on this. I still have Collins on the line. Collins, I would like to wrap up with you. I'm sorry that our time is pressed. That's why we couldn't exhaust earlier, but we were talking about procurement. So give and take, you think that the sole sourcing must have contributed to the inability of the relevant authorities to do due diligence?
Well, hello?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm listening, sir.
Yeah. Well, with sole sourcing, always you have a reason for the sole sourcing. One may ask, is this company the only organization or only power producers that can offer that? Okay, granted, Parliament has approved that they should go ahead with this work. Now, from what the man was saying, there wasn't any indication of purchase of cars. And I read in your story that the cars were provided by these people. Why? And when it comes to sole sourcing, you need to ask. Sole sourcing is about monopoly. It means that you're going to have this particular car from only one source. Again, like I keep on saying, we have what we call good to have a must have. Are you getting the point?
Yes.
So when you are even buying a car, there should be, you need to think through, what purpose do we need this car?
Right.
Is this car, can't other cars provide that same support? So that is where when
Right.
we hear that maybe the sole source was just given to a particular car, then we have questions because we have a lot of car brands within the market.
Right, Collins, I'm afraid that we may have to just wrap. I'm grateful. I know that we came to you at a very short notice, and we're grateful that you could join us. Thank you very much. Collins Ajiman Sapong is a procurement expert, and we also spoke to Kweku Kwati, who is a member of the Parliamentary Committee, Subcommittee on Finance. We'll be right back with an interactive segment. Do stay.